My name is Clarence Chun. I'm a painter. I was born in Tacloban City, Philippines. Raised in Houston, Texas, and went to school in New York. Became a professor in Texas for about 8 years, and then moved to Hawaii, where is my home as of now. What I want people to see in my work is really, I want them to experience it. Not necessarily to take away all the preconceived notions of what art is to them, and just experience the image, as in weave through the hard edge, painterly elements, and let the eye rest in certain areas, and just experience the painting. And then later on, then you can dwell on, you can like go down deep into what certain things mean and how it's constructed and things like that. But the most important thing in art, to me, is the experiential aspect of it. The imagery usually comes from childhood memories that I have. Water is usually a big factor because I always have this constant dream of I'm always falling into water. Always, I have that dream almost like once a week. I'm always falling into water, like a puddle and I usually do fall into water. I fell in Hawaii. I fell in playing golf. I fell in the tub. So I've always constantly fallen into water, and that's why water plays a big part, because I dream about it all the time. Well, two things with these works is that the architectural elements comes from building a new studio. So when we were building a new studio, we would always come, and it's just a shell, right? And when the sun comes, he always casts these shadows of kind of geometric shapes, and so that's where technically the architectural elements come in. And also by the two, technically the diptych, the two panels, is that my father used to be a movie director here in the Philippines in the 70s, and I always used to watch him edit. And so there's those small films that come by, and there's this kind of like rhythm of, when they manually edit a film. And so that's also where the movement comes in. This show at Blanc was pretty much conceived in the U.S., in the Midwest, Missouri actually, where my sister was having surgery. And I ended up staying there for 6 months because of COVID and the lockdown. I did all my drawings, all the prep work during that time, and then wasn't able to really get into the studio and start until maybe September in Manila, where I was able to come back. The show title is always a relief to see you again, and it plays on the idea of me being away from my wife for about 9 months, and also being away from the studio for about 9 months. And it plays on that thing of the things that you miss, the things that you don't necessarily think about until you can't have. And it's always, it's somewhat, when I landed in Manila, it was very like a kind of a relief feeling that I'll be painting again and seeing my wife, things like that. So the work is conceived initially because my work was technically about speed. And so I had a professor that told me that at one time my work was too busy, And he says, but your work is about speed, but you have to slow it down in order to show it. So what I initially did was that I'd take a white or a canvas and an elongated canvas. So to me and then I would put like washes, kind of like drips or splashes. And that's as fast as that painting can go. It's like a zip. And then by adding imagery to it and elements to it, I'm slowing it down. So you're able to see the speed. As opposed to before, I was just stacking images on top of images on top of images, and it got super busy, and then the subtext was lost in it. And so in order for me to like make it faster, I had to slow it down. Hi, my name is Clarence Chun. Come see my show. Always relieved to see you again at Blanc Gallery.